father and son combination. We'll count that down, and we'll look ahead to Montreal. There's all that and more on In This Corner with Russ Anber. Hi, everybody, and welcome to In This Corner. I'm Darren Dutchy, along with the coach, Russ Anber. We are glad that you tuned in. I am glad that you made it back from the Motor City. I
was in Detroit. Yes, it was wonderful to be there as usual.
Right. I'm surprised you made it over the border.
They let me back. They keep letting me back in.
Actually, they keep throwing you back.
Yes,
it's not a matter of them letting you back into Canada. It's actually them kicking you out of the United States. So we're going to talk about your weekend in Detroit and the card coming up in Montreal in a moment or two. Hey, by the way, did you go to Kronk's gym, say hi to the boys?
Actually, I did. Actually, I did. I got a picture and everything. Wait till I show you that.
Nice.
Stuff.
I look
Very
forward
nice.
to that. And the reason I bring that up is because it really is one of the more famous boxing institutions, and that's where Tommy Hearns came out of, and now his son Ronald, who was in the ring this past weekend. Interesting story with Ronald, though. This is a guy who's 30 years of age. You know, he didn't start fighting until he was 25. It's not like he had an extensive amateur
career. Unlike his dad, who did.
Right, unlike his father. So he was in Miami, Oklahoma this past weekend, 21-0 record. He had stepped up in terms of the quality of opposition. So at the age of 30, this really was, you know, it's a Fisher Cup bait time for this young man. Let's see what he's got. He steps in there into the ring with Harry Joe Yorgey.
And Yorgey's a tough Philadelphia fighter who comes out throwing hard, and he stayed on Hearns all night. This was an exciting contest right from the outset, but Hearns never seemed to be able to hold Yorgey off, and they just exchanged hard shots. He was forced to go toe-to-toe, and Yorgey was getting inside the long arms of Hearns and landing hard shots like that. The hard right hand there, that hurts Hearns, and he goes down, and this is only round 4 action. There was a left hook that was scored a knockdown. Smoker calls it a knockdown, but you see Yorgey complaining that he tripped, and there, a good right hand.
Wow.
Round 5. I mean, these guys just went at it tooth and nail, but Yorgey just dishing out the harder shots, landing cleaner on the inside, smothering Hearns, and Hearns not having the experience, able to hold off Yorgey, and there he is, hurt again, right hand. Down he goes, a huge win for Yorgey.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly Hagler and Hearns, but Yorgey with that victory improves to 22-0-1. Super middleweight, Andre Durrell, 17-0, taking on Derek Finley, who was 13-2. And I don't know how these two guys ended up in the same ring together. Same weight class, not the same talent class, though,
Not
Rusty.
the same talent class. I'm wondering, how the heck did Finley ever get out of this round? 30 seconds left to go in the first round. He's hurt, and Durrell is just unleashing on him with that left hand. I mean, it would be nice if he threw a right every now and then. Here we are, still round 1 action, still trying to load up with one hand, the left hand only, and Finley stays in there and survives the round, and this would set the pace for the rest of the fight. You'll see it here, same thing. Hands held high by Finley. He's not doing much, just absorbing the punishment. There it is, round 6.
Did he ever throw a punch?
I don't know.
His corner says too much, too soon. They ultimately call that one off, but you see Andre Durrell, who does have an extensive amateur background. This is a guy who ended up, won a bronze medal for the U.S. boxing team. So this is just interesting to see these two guys and where they are at their respective careers. But let's start with Ronald Hearns. Okay. We know that Yorgey's a pretty tough guy, as you'd mentioned, out of Philadelphia. He was on a 21-fight winning streak, and you know, he was just a little bit too much for it. Maybe if Hearns had a little more experience, you're right. Maybe he could have held him off, used his size advantage, used those long arms.
That looked to me to be the main problem here. Yorgey came right inside those long arms, and you could see that Hearns was not comfortable in trying to find his range. And I think maybe they might have selected Yorgey as an opponent because he has a great record, so that would be wonderful on Hearns' record. And they figured, well, if this guy's right in front of us, maybe we'll be able to hit him, and he's a good puncher and will hurt him. But Yorgey just stayed so close, and Hearns looked... there's where he showed a lot of similarities to his dad. When you got inside, that he couldn't work on the inside, and the long arms seemed to get in the way, and he wasn't able to hold Yorgey off and keep him out there with the jab, hurt him with a right hand and slow him down. He was never able to do that, and Yorgey takes control of the fight and ends up winning a huge win. It's a huge win for Yorgey, and you have to wonder now, can Hearns bounce back from that kind of a defeat?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
His father did.
Well, yeah, I know, but you know what, though, like when you consider his age and where he's at, but it's funny, you see the body type, and you can absolutely see the similarities between the two. More highlights, and speaking of father-son combinations, how about Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., son of a legend?
And now there's a difference between Hearns. This is a kid. Here's a kid who started off you know, early in his pro career, he's already up to 39 pro fights, and look at him go now toe-to-toe with Cuello.
Yeah, and he was in there with Luciano Cuello, and this was not for the faint of heart. Both guys were bleeding in this fight. It was a light middleweight slugfest. It really was a barroom brawl, so to speak, Rusty.
It was just great, and I mean, this is how you move a fighter. You know, Chavez dominant, obviously, against Cuello, but Cuello kept it competitive and exciting.
Yeah, WBO interim bantamweight championship between Fernando Montiel, who is 38-2-1, and Diego Silva, who is 24-1-3.
And Montiel looked good in this one against a quality opponent here in Silva, but Montiel just looked really good. No contest. Montiel in control from the opening bell. Too quick, too sharp. Amateurish attacks from Silva, and he paid the price for Montiel, brother.
Yeah, Montiel improves to 39-2-1 with 29 KOs. Super featherweight. Humberto Soto, 46-7-2, facing Antonio Davis, who is 26-4-0.
Yeah, and this is a great fight here. Soto's just looking better and better with each outing, and Davis, who had never been stopped before, is in tough, and Soto wants to take him out of there. This is round 3 action. He's digging hard shots, and you can see he's hurting Davis, hurting him there, and he just kept the pressure on. Good, sharp right hands and left hooks follow it up. A great, great performance by Soto, Dutchy.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised because Davis had never been knocked out in his career. Soto has no problem with him. Takes him out after 4. Heavyweight, so Fast Eddie Chambers. He's the one with the fast hands. He's 33-1 with 18 knockouts. Samuel Peter, he's the one on the receiving end who is breathing heavy. You know, he had a 42-pound weight advantage in this one.
Doesn't mean anything. David slew Goliath, no problem. Good quick left jab shows you what great defense can do, what a beautiful educated left hand can do against the big puncher. And look at the quick of that. I mean, he's got outstanding quickness. In my opinion, he better be careful not to put on too much weight. I'll tell you about that in the soapbox later, brother.
Well, Eddie Chambers is victorious. He knocks off Samuel Peter, and you wonder, you know, how much did Peter lose when he ended up losing to Vitaly Klitschko, because he clearly did not look the same in that particular fight. On his 6th try for a world title, and on his 37th birthday, Jose Carrera Lopez won the vacant WBO super flyweight world title, Rusty.
And Dutchy heavyweight prospect Chaz Witherspoon scored a TKO at 143 of round 3 against journeyman Travis Fulton. Witherspoon ups his record to 24-1.
And John Molina, not to be confused with Javier Molina, who you both see there, overcame a strong start by Carlos Vinan. He scores an impressive second-round TKO. Molina now 16-0 with 12 KOs.
And in his pro debut, Olympian welterweight Javier Molina outclassed 36-year-old Jaime Cabrera, who was also making his pro debut. Molina dropped Cabrera twice with body shots.
All right, we're just getting warmed up. Still to come, Miguel Cotto and Antonio Margarito making big news, and we got a preview of a big fight in Montreal this upcoming weekend. You're watching In This Corner. Welcome back to the show. IBF Junior Welterweight Champion Juan Urango will move up a division to challenge WBC Welterweight Champ Andre Berto.
Wow.
I'm looking forward to this. The bout will take place on HBO May the 30th in Hollywood, Florida. On the undercard, they're going to have unbeaten junior middleweight Alfredo Angulo taking on former world champ Kermit Cintron. That's a nice card.
Great fight. The LA Times, Dutchy, are reporting that the hardened gauze pads confiscated from Antonio Margarito's hand wraps contain, check this out, calcium and sulfur, 2 of the primary elements of plaster of Paris, according to tests by a California State Department of Justice laboratory. State Supervising Deputy Attorney General Karen Chappell told the papers that the State Athletic Commission decision to suspend Margarito and his trainer Javier Capitero be supported.
You know what? It's disgusting. And you know who's weighed in? Miguel Cotto. The only time he's lost a fight as a professional was to Margarito. He said, I understand that Margarito not only played with my health, but he played with the health of many boxers. He lost to him on July the 26th of last year. He said, I received punishment in my career, but I never had my face swell like I had it swell in that fight. I understand that 1 year of suspension is not much for the kind of unsportsmanlike act that Margarito presented against Mosley. He deserves the same suspension as trainer Panama Lewis. He should never be allowed to step into the ring again. That's what Cotto says. And you know what, Russ? He's right.
Well, that's tough.
He's right.
It looks like it's official, though. Listen to this. WBO IBF heavyweight champion Vladimir Klitschko will face former WBC, WBA, WBO cruiserweight champion David Haye. Representatives of Klitschko informed FightNews.com that the Klitschko-Haye bout will take place on June 20th in Germany. The contract is expected to be signed in the next few days.
That's nice. And if he beats Big Bad Vladdy, then he gets Vitaly next. Promoter Don King has filed a protest with the British Boxing Board of Control, the WBO and the WBA, on behalf of Marco Antonio Barrera, claiming his accidental clash of heads with Amir Khan during the first round of the match should have resulted in the fight being ruled no contest under the rules governing the bout had the fight been stopped prior to the end of the fourth round due to the accidental headbutt. The official ruling would have been no contest, requiring an immediate rematch. Instead, they waited until the fifth round, and Khan won a technical decision.
And King is right. Dutchy, some sad news to pass along. Former world bantamweight champion Raul Macias died last week from cancer at the age of 74. Known by the nickname Mouse, the 5'3" Macias fought at the 1952 Olympics in Helsinki, then turned pro the next year. He won the vacant world bantamweight title over Thailand's Camarine Songthakrat in 1955. Macias successfully defended the world title twice before losing it on a split decision to Alfonso Halimi in 1957. Macias retired in 1962 at the age of 28. And Dutchy, I have some more sad news to pass on to you. Giovanni Parisi passed away. The great Italian world champion, was world champion at lightweight and at junior welterweight. He had a record of 41, 5-1, and I saw him fight in Montreal as an amateur and at the Seoul Olympics when he won the gold medal.
Yeah, car accident. Man, that is terrible. Yeah. You had mentioned Montreal there. Boy, it's really becoming this boxing hotbed. It has been for a while now, but there are not one card this weekend. There are actually two cards being put on. You got Kendall Holt, Timothy Bradley, Jean Pascal will be fighting Libretto Andrade with more. Russ has this preview.
Jean Pascal's career was going exactly as planned. A perfect 21-0 record heading into a super middleweight title bout in the UK against Carl Froch. Pascal didn't disappoint against Froch as he fought a determined battle but lost a close unanimous decision. He tries to rebound from that first career defeat this Saturday afternoon at the Casino de Montreal against Pablo Nieves and hopefully another title shot in the near future. Then, that evening at the Bell Center, Libretto Andrade will return to the scene of his most disappointing defeat, a controversial loss to Luciano Cuello last October. Andrade was outboxed by Cuello for the whole fight, but staged a late rally and knocked Cuello down at the end of the fight. However, a groggy Cuello was able to get to his feet and won a unanimous decision to retain the IBF super middleweight crown. Standing in Andrade's way of another title shot is Vitaly Tsypko, whose last fight in North America was a loss to Jeff Lacey in 2006. The main event Saturday night will be the unification light welterweight bout between Kendall Holt and unbeaten Timothy Bradley. Bradley has started to gather some attention with his last two wins over Edner Cherry and Junior Witter. Meanwhile, Holt has won 3 straight and knows the importance of this bout as these two young fighters, both under 30, try and line up bigger paydays.
That is going to be a fight.
We don't have one fight card. Oh, no! We have two at opposite ends of the city, boy.
Ooh, what are you going to do? Have to drive?
Yeah, exactly.
That's all right.
I'll be there.
I'll come pick you up. I'll be a limo driver for the weekend.
Hey, it's going to be great cards.
Listen, how about Holt and Bradley? Who wins this fight? I'm looking forward to this.
You know what? I really like the way Timothy Bradley has been emerging. And like we said in the piece, his wins over Edner Cherry and over Junior Witter really showed that this guy's a real dedicated and deserving world champion. I think this is a great unification fight. Kendall Holt has shown a lot of guts, though, in the fight with Torres, where he got knocked down, got up, and knocked Torres. Anything could happen in this one. Slight edge to Timothy Bradley. That's who I'm going with, but it's going to be a heck of a fight.
Yeah, Holt-Torres was like a fight of the year candidate a while ago, so we'll see. This would be good. All right, we have to take another break. When we come back, though, it's Rusty's Outstanding 8. This week, we're going to feature fathers and sons you're watching in this corner. Welcome back to the show. You know what? I like this one. Time now for your Outstanding 8, and they say that blood is thicker than water. It's especially true in the sport of boxing. Here they are, father-son combinations.
Aaron Pryor, Sr. and Jr. The Senior Pryor dominated like few others have. His relentless style made him one of the most feared fighters of his day. While Aaron Jr. will never be the Hawk, he's a respectable 12-1 with 9 wins coming by way of knockout.
Number 7.
Thomas and Ronald Hearns, the hitman, arguably owned the greatest right hand in boxing. A devastating puncher, the elder Hearns thrilled a generation of fans. Son Ronald, until this weekend, was undefeated. It'll be interesting to see how he bounces back.
Number 6.
Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Sr., the son of the legend, is traveling the same road as the legend himself. A busy fighter, the Junior Chavez has stayed busy, compiling 39 professional fights. At this pace, he may well match his father's 115 professional contests.
Number 5.
Joe and Marvis Frazier. There are few fighters, Dutchy, who match the heart and determination of Smokin' Joe. The younger Frazier never reached his father's status, but was a more than respectable heavyweight. Sadly, his career is marred by 2 bad losses to Holmes and Tyson.
Number 4.
Leon and Corey Spinks. After winning Olympic gold, Leon would win the heavyweight title after only 8 pro fights. Sadly, his career in life would spiral out of control. For his part, son Corey has won world titles in 2 weight classes and narrowly missed a third against Jermaine Taylor.
Number 3.
Floyd and Tracy Patterson, Olympic gold medalist and the first 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. Floyd took on all comers. His son was very much the same. In 73 professional contests, the younger Patterson was only stopped once, Dutchy.
Number 2.
Floyd Mayweather, Sr. and Jr., a solid contender. Floyd Sr. never got a shot at a world title. His son, however, more than made up for it. A gifted fighter, the Junior Mayweather has been the most dominating fighter of his time.
And your number 1 father-son combo?
Davey Hilton Sr. and his 3 sons. The senior Hilton fought over 80 pro fights and in every weight class in boxing, from featherweight to heavyweight. Although he never won a world title, both Davey Jr. and Matthew would become world champions themselves.
Russ Anber's Outstanding 8 is brought to you by the fresh, great taste of Arby's. One bite will have you saying, I'm thinking Arby's.
Well, Rusty, you know how I was saying that blood is thicker than water? You know what's thicker than both of them? Fat. And don't you know it? With more on that, here's your soapbox, big boy.
As I watched the heavyweight encounter this past Friday between big, and I mean big, Samuel Peter and Fast Eddie Chambers, I once again shook my head in disbelief at just how far the heavyweight division has fallen. The fight itself actually wasn't that bad. On the contrary, by today's standards, for the heavyweight division, you might say it was actually quite good. For 10 rounds, I didn't even realize that referee James Jenkin was actually in the ring as both fighters threw punches and never once engaged in any sort of hug fest, which has become so prominent in the division. What had me frustrated watching these 2 heavyweights was their complete lack of self-discipline, lack of self-respect, and a lazy work rate. Sam Peter entered the ring at a career-high 265 pounds. While that is still considerably lighter than Dutchy, you won't catch Dutchy's belly hanging out over his belt, even when he's sitting down. For his part, Chambers, although considerably lighter, still came in at a career-high 223 pounds and had a noticeable roll around his midriff. Ironically, both fighters showed excellent hand speed, especially Chambers, as well as good sound boxing technique. Having said all that, why enter the ring so woefully overweight? Fast Eddie Chambers is a talented heavyweight with 34 wins. However, like most heavyweights today, Chambers continues to enter the ring time and time again heavier than in his previous outing. While Eddie Chambers appears to have all the qualities to one day win the heavyweight title, it's obvious that he's not a power puncher. Last Friday's fight against Sam Peter was close, but it was Eddie Chambers who allowed it to be close. While Peters was obviously sucking wind as early as the 5th round, Chambers never once was able to find that extra bit of explosion that a fighter of his quality needs in order to pull away from the opposition. Chambers couldn't pull away from Peter simply because he was 10 to 15 pounds overweight. Maybe if you're someone like Sam Peter who has the potential to end the fight with a single punch, you might get away with an extra trip to the buffet table. However, for someone like Chambers who has difficulty sticking a stamp on an envelope, this is inexcusable. When I think back on the heavyweights of the past who, like Chambers, found themselves lacking that big KO punch, I quickly think of guys like Eddie Machen, Hurricane Jackson, and of course Jimmy Young. The difference between those fighters and Chambers is that they understood the need for high-volume punching. If Chambers hopes to one day win a title and have his name mentioned alongside these past great contenders, then he'll have to alter his recipe for success. Otherwise, he'll go from being Fast Eddie to Fat Eddie. Dutch!
I thought you were... Why are you looking at me when you say that, Rusty? Oh, we got plenty more. It's Final Flurry when we return. Welcome back to the show. Time now for Final Flurry. There's the bell.
Okay, my favorite part. Let's go.
All right, Tim in Kingston wants to know who's going to win between Liberato Andrade and Vitaly Tsypko this weekend.
For the betterment of boxing,
for a great rematch, for the city of Montreal, for great fighting.
He wins.
He's got to win.
He will win, won't he?
He's got to win. I love what Andrade can do. I'll tell you what, if Tsypko is able to withhold the pressure and the assault that Andrade puts on, he's going to be a heck of a fighter. But like I said in the preview, in his own lone loss was to Jeff Lacey. If he thought Jeff Lacey put some heat on him, wait till Andrade starts putting some heat on this guy. I like Liberato in this one, baby.
Now,
I think he exhausts him to death.
Next question comes from Dave in Vancouver. He goes, I thought the way that Chambers made Peters miss, or how he caught most of his punches, he blocked them, I thought it was masterful. Can you talk a little bit about defense?
You know what? I thought that Eddie Chambers, when I looked at him, and I'm telling you this now, not as a fan, I'm telling you this as a boxing trainer sitting down in the gym and watching a guy work, you know what? I really liked what I saw in Eddie Chambers. I mean, that was pure boxing, what we saw there. Good, quick hands, long, straight jab, long, straight right hand, nice defense. He saw everything coming. He'd step the opposite way. Left hand came, he'd move to the right. Right hand came, he moved off to the left. I mean, he was just brilliant. I just wish, and like I said in the soapbox, have a little self-respect. Put yourself into trim shape. Look at the Klitschkos, how big they are. Not an ounce of flab on them. You don't need to be carrying that. You got to get your punch rate up from 48 punches around to 75 punches around. When Eddie Chambers does that, that defense, that speed, and just an accumulation of punches will have him beating guys that he might not beat otherwise.
That's a really good point, Rusty. I love his hand speed.
I loved what I saw.
Yeah, me too.
Just wish he'd slimmed down like you. Look at you, nice and svelte.
And where comes the shot? This coming. From Oscar, he wants to know, I heard you were in Detroit this weekend. What was the card about?
I was. I'm very glad you asked me about that, because I was in Detroit with my heavyweight, Ali Mansour. He goes to 3-0. And also another Canadian kid out of Windsor named Andre Georges. He improved to 6-0, went the distance for the first time. But we were down there. And these are guys fighting that old club circuit, you know, small place, club shows, building up your record, and that's how you develop character, and that's exactly what they're doing. And I'm hoping that, you know, Ali will make his move, because he is probably one of the best heavyweights this country has produced, and he's going to be somebody. He's beaten a lot of guys that have made good careers in the heavyweight division. You watch and see if this guy gets serious.
Well, I just love the fact that he's a heavyweight and his name's Ali.
Perfect.
Ali Mansour, you know. That's,
perfect.
The next question comes from Jordan Yurchuk. He wants to know about five-time national amateur champion Arash Usmanee.
Yes.
He's going pro. He's going to have his debut in Edmonton on the 3rd of April.
He did. Smash. Arash Usmanee, 5-time Canadian champion. They're going to love him out there. He's an action-packed fighter, throws a bunch of punches. He fights a little awkward style, but boy, when he throws, he lets his hand go. You're going to love him out there.
Boom. That's going to do it for this edition of In This Corner. Join us next week. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you again.
Russ Anber's Clothing by Pellegrino Castronovo.